Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margo Moss. Midnight Menu Plus One is part of the family of shows on the podcast network, itsneworleans.com.
Tonight we're at Grille by the Hill, a non-existent restaurant next to Monkey Hill Bar on Magazine Street in Uptown New Orleans. Grille by the Hill closed down a while back, but on Monday nights we bring it back to life. The space is a fabulously kitsch recreation of a French Quarter courtyard, complete with a ceiling of twinkling stars. Once a week, Margo and I meet here under the fake stars and invite a member of New Orleans restaurant community to join us. And we invite them to bring along a friend, a plus one. We never know who that plus one's going to be. Sometimes it's a friend, a neighbor, a family member, or a fellow restaurant business colleague. We just don't know. Margo, I'm excited tonight for our guest. Having Eman from Dante's Kitchen here is just going to be fantastic. But before he gets here, we do need to let our folks know about the drink specials at our host, Monkey Hill Bar. They offer listeners at 6100 Magazine Street, right across from Perlis, happy hour specials Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., and they have $3.50 well drinks, $1 off beers, $1 off wine by the glass, and $1 off signature cocktails. Tell them Ray and Margo sent you. All right. Well, do you have anything to discuss food-wise from this week? No?
Well, I had some amazing bread pudding made from stale king cake that my brother made. But
wow,
it
was
wasn't
it good?
out. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was
Which
a
brother?
mix between there was some chocolate cake and leftover king cake.
Wow,
And,
really?
Yeah.
And that
it was
turned out great?
It was so good. So good.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. You locals can do amazing things with all kinds of stuff. I'm so jealous. Maybe like 20 years from now I'll be able to do that. That's
Did
so
you
cool.
have anything exciting happen during the week?
No, I was so busy. I'm ashamed. I had, you know what I had for dinner tonight? Probably first time in like 6 months. I had a box of mac and cheese. That's what I had for dinner. 33-cent mac and cheese is what I had. So, yeah, my food experiences were not very noteworthy. Definitely not as noteworthy as our guest, so we should go ahead and no longer delay. Our special guest at Midnight Menu Plus One tonight is Eman Loubier, and he is the genius for the last 13 years behind Dante's Kitchen, and more recently behind, in our neighborhood right here in this part of Uptown, Noodle and Pie on Magazine and State, which I know you've enjoyed. I've enjoyed several times. Very excited to talk to him about that. So without further delay, let's get our guest on here. Eman, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Such an honor to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here. I got a couple comments about the intro that you had there.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Well, first off, I'm glad you didn't say you had 33-cent ramen. That's I gotta tell you that. Mac and cheese is okay. I don't one of those. And genius, I don't know so much about that. We're just doing our thing.
Well, let the people decide. The people think you're a genius, so you're a genius even if you think differently. I try to go. I try to go to lunch frequently on Sundays to Dante's. I can never get in, even though our church gets out early. I get over there about 11:30. There's already like a gigantic line. So it's very, very popular place for good reason. And you don't stay popular in New Orleans if you don't deserve it.
Yeah, we're very lucky that people like what we do, and we've been doing the brunch for a while, and since we opened, and we have a really good crowd, and we're very lucky about that. We keep doing our thing.
Now, have you been in that spot the whole time for the 13 years?
I have. It was Dante Street Deli when I bought it. It was a deli for about 15 years, and it was just a lunch place, and then I bought it 13 years ago and set up what it is now, or what it has become. Trying to deal with local farmers and bringing in fresh products, and not so much anything frozen or stuff like that. Everything we can make by hand, we do. Which was a lot harder 13 years ago.
I was going to say, farm to table is like very popular now, but it probably was not that common 13 years ago, right?
It was no.
Logistics were probably a lot harder,
no,
right?
It wasn't that common. It was a lot harder. You had a lot of old farmers growing the same thing that they've been growing for a couple generations. Very rarely, once in a while, you'd have a young farmer that was willing to take a risk. And you can't really blame them, because this is how they literally put food on the table for their family too. This is what they do for their living. And if some wacky chef in New Orleans says, "Why don't you grow 17 kinds of pumpkin for me?" and I might want to use the white ghost pumpkin or the French Eaton pumpkin,
Right.
you know, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to tear out my definitely sold field of vegetables and plant some pumpkins for some guy." All of a sudden, he's taking a big risk. And he doesn't, it's not really sure how it's going to grow in that field, and they're used to growing what they were growing. But one by one, you make, you get to know people. You go and you hang out with them, you introduce yourself, you go to the farm, it's a relationship. And you have to have trust that they're going to grow it, and they have to have trust that you're going to buy it. And
now, how'd you have the time to do that when you're starting up a new restaurant, all the chaos with that? I mean,
a lot of the groundwork I laid when I was sous chef at Commander's.
Oh, so you were at Commander's immediately before that, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I was
so
there
2
for
years.
Almost 10 years. I was
10 years.
I worked at Commander's almost 10 years.
Oh,
For the
okay.
last couple of years, 2 to 3 years, I was chef de cuisine, which pretty much ran the kitchen when the chef wasn't there. But I had all the responsibilities of dealing with the farmers and any of the purveyors. The beauty of working there is anything I wanted, basically, I can have.
People return your calls when you're calling from Commanders.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah, right.
Definitely. I asked, and I had a purchasing agent that I would call up, and I was messing around with him, and I'm like, "Can I get 4 pounds of whale blubber?" and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna have to look into that." And he called me back in a couple minutes, and he's like, "You have to be an Inuit to have whale blubber." And he actually tracked it down. I was just messing around.
Wow. Now, whose year did that overlap with over there? I mean, who were you?
The chef was Jamie Shannon.
Oh, okay.
And I was there almost the entire time that he was the chef. So
Wow.
all the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's right after Emerald
Emerald had left.
just left before you got there, I guess.
He left about a year before I got there.
Okay.
And Jamie was chef, and I worked with him. We were friends. You know how New Orleans is. Everyone kind of knows each other.
Yeah.
And Jamie and I were friends, and it was good working with a good friend, and I made a very good friend with Ella Brennan also, which kind of the strict teacher from school where you don't realize it at the time, but you're really happy later that somebody took so much time with you and put a lot of time into you. And I was very happy and very lucky for that too.
So you don't look old enough. So 23 years it's been since you started at Commanders. So was that
Yeah.
your first, right out of
Nah.
college? You went right to Commanders, or did you do something else?
No, I worked in a couple other restaurants before.
Okay.
I moved to New Orleans in '86 after college, and looking for something that wasn't where I was from. And I used to hang around the kitchen with my grandma when she would do when she always cooked for the whole family, but it wasn't a big thing in my life, cooking and eating out or any of that. Came to New Orleans basically to have some fun. Loved the city. I moved here in July. It was hotter than I'd ever seen. It rained harder.
You're from
in the
Jersey
middle of the
originally,
day.
right?
Yeah, I'm
Jersey
from Jersey
City. Yeah.
Jersey City, that's right.
Yeah, right.
And
Me too, sort of. Not Jersey City, but Jersey.
it's New Orleans was a nice change of pace from there. And,
So had you heard about New Orleans? Had you
a good
new
friend of mine,
friends who lived
a
here?
good friend of mine who I grew up with, he went to Tulane, and we graduated at the same time. And he was like, "Hey, you want to come stay in New Orleans? I'm going to stay here." I was like, "Sure, I'm ready. Let's go." So we moved down on Valence and Magazine, and
Oh, yeah.
lived there for a couple years, 2-3 years, and the rest is, had to pay the rent, so
So did you work any really bad restaurants before Commanders?
I couldn't say that.
You don't want to tell us?
I actually didn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
worked in a place that's now Giacomo's. It wasn't it then, but that was a starting spot.
Wait, what was it called before it was
Cafe Savannah,
Okay.
and that was way back in the day.
Yeah.
But then I worked for Kevin Vizard for several years, and he's also a very good friend. Worked around town for about 4 restaurants before I started at Commanders, landed at Commanders, and just started going from there.
So you must have had you developed a passion for cooking in that restaurant lifestyle. I mean that sounds like.
I think the restaurant lifestyle kind of sucked me in within the first year, easily, first couple months, and it was just fun. And it's this, we're kind of adrenaline junkies, in this business, and it's instant gratification. It's like, wow, I cooked that, and those people enjoyed it. Look at that, and they're happy, and I'm happy. And then you're all pumped up, and then you're hanging out after work. And New Orleans is a good town to hang out after work in, and get up and do it again the next day. You know, you feel really good about doing hard work. And
so you met your wife here.
That's a good story too. Yeah. Actually, at Cafe Savannah, she took my application at that job, which is my first cooking job, and she told the boss to hire me because she thought I was cute. And I had gone home and told my roommate that this really cute girl just took my application, and I really hope I get that job. So, yeah. And then we had our wedding ceremony in the same restaurant.
In the restaurant, how much later after that?
That was, we got married in 89.
Oh, so not long.
No, about 3 years later, yeah.
Wow, has it worked out?
Yeah, so far,
Still married?
We're going on 25 years
you
now.
You have two teenagers, right?
So you must have been a good employee, too, for your first cooking job, for her not to be
she taught me how to make some of those dishes. She was a waitress, and she taught me how to make some of the dishes for the front of the house. And I'm like, hey, what goes in this? And she's like, this goes in and that goes in, I think. Okay. All right, I'll make it. Here you go.
Well, who taught you, or when along the way did y'all like can things, right, at Dante's, and like pickle things and always have did your grandmother teach you that, or is that something you just picked up?
That was something I picked up at Commander's, actually. We would, again, working with a lot of farmers, and what you're shooting for is getting the products that are at their peak of freshness. And you get them when you want to get them, not a tomato that's grown in California, picked when it's green and hard like a baseball and shipped across the country, and let it ripen in a truck with some ethylene gas put on it. So it turns red, but it doesn't develop any more flavor once it's off the tree. So when you're dealing with farmers, their field happens when it happens. Here you go, boom, you know, and so you got all these tomatoes. You got 40 cases of tomatoes. All right, what are we going to do with that? Old school is canning it, you know. So we started doing that in probably like 94, 95. We started doing a lot of that at Commander's, and just had the love of it, you know, and really enjoyed it. It's another one of the skills that was lost, or and people have rediscovered those. The salumi is also one of those. Yeah, a whole curing chamber you set up and do cured meats.
So you do that at Dante's as well?
We do that at Dante's also.
Oh, wow. Yeah, do you use all that in the restaurant? Or
we do. We have a rotating salumi platter. Since they do take anywhere from 6 days to 1 year to make, so you have to plan ahead, and you rotate. Okay, what's ready now? This one's ready. That one's ready. Let's pull that down. Let's go ahead, and it gives you a lot of room for experimentation also. Once the customer is comfortable with the work that you're doing as a chef, as opposed to the dishes that you're cooking, and they have the trust in what you're doing, they give you the liberty to go ahead and play and have a lot more open space and room to play around with. And I say play, and I mean ingredients and cooking techniques and different flavors.
Well, I think something though that takes a year. It's kind of hard to do trial and error with that, because a year later now you go, okay, it needs a little something else, and it would take a lot of years then to develop.
Hopefully it didn't rot. But the curing a ham is old. 700 years old, probably 1,000 years old. They've been doing that and curing fish and curing hams. There's a lot of, the dehydrating using salt or sugar, any of those kind of preservatives. And you're not using man-made preservatives, chemical preservatives. Right. You're using natural preserving methods.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know like Ancora and Wayfair and a bunch of other places are doing their own. They're curing their own.
Yeah, it got really popular.
It's become very popular. Yeah.
It got really popular in this country in the last 10 years, I would say.
Okay. So when you were doing
really
it, you were one of the first ones, you think, in New Orleans to be doing that?
I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
Well, what I want to know what's spurred you to try pop-up with, and you tried that with your partner, right?
He was my chef at the time. He was running the kitchen. He was like my chef de cuisine
at Dante's. His name. Sorry.
His name is Brian Armour.
Okay.
And he's now my partner at Noodle and Pie.
All right.
And again, with the the customer having the trust and faith in what you do, there's just so far you can push the envelope in a restaurant where people come in and they're expecting a variation on the New Orleans food. There's not so much Japanese food that they're going to be expecting. So to do something like that, a bowl of ramen, which is very popular on the East Coast and the West Coast now, and again, we wanted to play, we wanted to have some fun, and so you get bored in the same and standing in the same spot. So we just pushed it a little bit, and we made everything. We did a lot of reading, we did a lot of tasting, we went to a bunch of places, and then we made it all ourselves after tasting it over and over and over for weeks, and studied so many different recipes, and just the reactions and what they how the flavors all work together and the balance of the flavors. And a friend of mine runs a restaurant, Cooley up on Britannia, and it's just open in the daytime. Yeah. And she let us rent it out at night, and we did our pop-up over there. We packed everything up at Dante's, pots, pans, truckloads of stuff. Brought it over, and we did it on Sunday nights and Monday nights.
Would you leave it there, or you bring it all
no,
back?
No, we brought it all back every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work in itself. Yeah.
It was a lot of work, but, it's when you're excited about doing something, it's not really work until it becomes work. And that was after about 6 months of doing, or 4 months of doing that. Then it became work. It was like our playtime all of a sudden was becoming... It was eating up more of our time, and we decided, well, if we're gonna do this, let's really do it. And then so it took us about a year to get our concept nailed down. That explains the noodle part, and then the pie part of Noodle and Pie is I have a very, very good pastry chef at Dante's, and she would always make some good pies over at Dante. And it was one thing that actually my wife said to me, you can't go anywhere in this town and get any good pie. Mm-hmm. And she's like, why don't you put those things together, noodle and pie? That's what you should do. I was like, hey, that's a good idea. So
that's kind of catching too, because you kind of go, you don't see that in a type.
They don't go.
Yeah.
They don't make any sense.
Yeah.
But they work. And you can't really get either one in New Orleans at too many places.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to bring on your plus one. Why don't you introduce her for us?
Oh, this is my good friend Demetria Christo.
All right.
And she...
Welcome, Demetria.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And
Tell
you're
us what she
supposed
does.
to be a surprise to us.
Surprise.
But it is a surprise, but I am happy to see you.
It's good
you
to
are
see you
a
again.
familiar face.
Oh.
And tell everyone what your business is, and maybe you can tell us why you brought her.
So my business is Eco Urban Landscaping, and we are the only local full-service landscaping company specializing in sustainable products and eco-friendly practices. And a long time ago, I had the pleasure of working with you, and we've grown a lot lately, I'm proud to say. And early on, I know you're supposed to say the connection part, but Eman, but early on I want to say I got to work at Dante's when I was 21.
Well, that's how we met.
And then when we were first starting Eco Urban, Eman was our just like a really good friend and business mentor, and really encouraged me to think bigger. That was always what he was saying, yeah, you have this day to day, but you really need to elevate the way you're thinking about everything and how to go about business and just have a bigger vision. So that's what I got of it.
You know what I saw? I saw stopping the brain drain of what has always been a problem in New Orleans. You get a lot of bright, motivated young people that come to New Orleans and go to Tulane or go to Loyola, one of the colleges, and then they leave. Yeah. They do 4 years here, and then they leave. And then all of a sudden you have somebody as motivated and as psyched about this city as the rest of us are. And she takes the opportunity that she wants to stay here, and I want to open a business. And also the sustainable landscaping, which is a popular term right now, and it makes a lot of sense. And especially we all know how much sense that makes around here now.
Yes, it does.
And dealing with farmers, it's the same thing. We're very tied to the soil. We are very tied to the soil, and especially over here by the river.
And a long time ago, there was some really cool business overlap where we were going to Farmer Chef Connection meetings.
Yeah, we were trying to get a bunch of chefs and farmers together just to meet each other. Just like I said, you make a relationship and you make a friend. And Demetria was very helpful and instrumental in getting that together. You know, it takes a lot of people to get something like that started, which is what Good Eggs is actually doing very much of, and Holly Grove is doing. And it's starting to catch on, which is great. You know, and we tried doing that like in 2008, something like that.
Very early.
Yeah, and tried bringing, basically it is just getting farmers and chefs to meet each other and to understand each other and just to be like, okay, this is what I need, this is what I can do that. And not everybody clicked, but we definitely met a couple of people from the chef side of it. We definitely met a couple of people who were willing to take the risk and do that. And you can see how the Crescent City Farmers Market has grown over the 15 years. It's amazing, you know.
Amazing,
it's great. And
we're
all reap the benefits of it, you know?
Yeah, everybody benefits. And New Orleans is really, like you said, too, it's really exciting because people, not only are people coming here and going to school and staying, but people are moving here because of things that, like movements like that. And, you know, it's just really, I mean, Good Egg is from San Francisco, and they saw the benefit of being here, and I'm so thrilled, and I'm so glad that you are still plugging away at it. And
you started in 2008?
2007, actually. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when I bought something from you.
Rain
Do you remember
barrel.
me? Yeah, my
Yes,
rain barrel.
I
Wow, what a
definitely
memory!
do.
Wow, you
Yeah.
have to sell a lot of rain barrels. How do you remember me? But
you remember
I bought a rain barrel from you like 2007 or 8, I think, and I got the idea from my friend Ken Kostriva. I don't know if you remember him. He bought a rain barrel from you right before that, and then we bought another one for our church. Our church has got a rain barrel from you too, so we got 3. But yeah, it's great. I still use it. It's about 100 feet from here.
And
that's
you know,
great.
it all makes sense. And Demetria has explained to me about bioswales, which a lot of the plans that they have with EcoUrban makes so much sense for New Orleans. And if we get out of the, you know, plant ornamentals that come from nowhere around here that make no sense to be here. But I'll let Demetria explain that. She's a lot better at that than I am.
Well, let's see. Yeah, so we try to use native plants and edibles as much as possible because our company's mission is basically to put function into landscapes. And we actually started our company in the middle of a permaculture class. My business partner, Travis Cleaver, and I both took a permaculture class, and then out of that we were able to buy some materials from our professor, basically, who was teaching the class. And that's how EcoUrban was born, just with this idea that, wow, you can have a yard that is productive and, you know, has bountiful things, and you're putting your energy to good use. And then we tie all these different elements together, like Eman started mentioning the so once you have your natives, your low water plants, cisterns, we've perfected cisterns a lot lately, and we're actually finalists in the water challenge this year.
What's the water challenge?
The water challenge is a pitch event. It's a pitch competition sponsored by the Idea Village and the Greater New Orleans Foundation.
Yeah.
And so we're one of 4 companies left out of 12 parishes. And there's a grand prize of $50,000.
Whoa!
Yeah, woo! I hope we get that. And so we'll be pitching a 7-minute presentation to a panel of venture capitalists and entrepreneurs and various judges.
You have a 1 in 4 chance of getting $50,000.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds
I've been working a lot lately.
You know, and cutting down on the runoff. We do get so much rain, but planting the indigenous species, they soak up more of the water. They hold more of the water using the neutral grounds as water holding spots, keeping it from going into the drainage canals, lowering the amount of water that we're just pouring. More concrete. It all just runs into the drainage canals, and we know what becomes of that.
When I bought my rain barrel, I was thinking of this. 40-gallon rain barrel is times 215,000 homes in New Orleans is 8 million gallons of water. And, you know, the pump system can handle, 1 inch an hour the first hour, and then a half inch after that or something like that. And it's like, you get these downpours, and then we have these sort of flash floods. What happened was before I got rid of my car flooded 3 times. I had to get my car towed way through on Magazine Street, uptown, And I realized, like, hey, if everybody had a rain barrel and we just caught the first 40 gallons, there wouldn't be as much flash flooding.
Yeah, slow down.
Exactly.
I read a dissertation by 2 Dutch engineers that basically showed there's ways to control, apart from a levee break and a massive sort of thing, but there's ways to control almost all flooding in New Orleans just through planting and irrigation and stuff that you guys do. And so I get excited about that.
And I'm really excited about the larger cisterns that we're doing now. Right now, residential-wise, we're doing, I'd say, anywhere from 500 to 1,500 gallons for residential, but we're fully prepared to scale up for schools and do 12,000 gallons, multiple 12,000 gallons at schools.
And what can you do with that water? Can you drink that water too?
Not here yet. Great question. No, here in Louisiana, you can only use rainwater for outdoor irrigating purposes.
Right.
So what we do is we set up everything you need in the cistern, fully pressurize the rainwater. We have filters so that everything's good to go to connect to your irrigation system. We have licensed irrigation contractors. We have a municipal water backup system. And it's so cool because you turn on the hose bib and it's just like regular, fully pressurized rainwater. And we've really perfected our design lately. We actually have this really cool system where the new rain comes in and it actually flushes the old rain out rather than just, letting,
Oh, that's really interesting.
So we have a really cool design on the overflow for that.
You guys design that?
We found some things that inspired our version of the design.
So that's for watering all your stuff. So something like the
just
green
like
school
cooking.
that has sort
Come
of
on,
the green.
everything is
No original
nothing
ideas,
is
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
there
it's
are
just
none.
taking it to
We
a
have our
different
Noodle
level
and
and
pie,
making it your
just
own.
Putting 2 things together.
You didn't invent the pie?
I didn't do either of those.
I thought you did the ramen noodle. Oh, okay. Well, that's really interesting. That's super. I love the idea of like flushing out the water too, because my problem with my rain barrels is I forget to empty them out once in a while when I don't use them enough, and it gets kind of stagnant in there. And then every once in a while I got to dump it all out and kind of clean the thing out and stuff. And it's kind of nasty and swarmy.
Yeah, I was thinking about that for a while because that's that one problem I was just trying to figure out. So now
So
we
you
have
found
this
a way
great,
to like flush it out.
Yeah, this great flushing system. Well,
And I just know rainwater works so much better on plants than like the tap water. It's unbelievable. Like there's parts of my yard that I water with the hose, and there's parts I use the rain barrel, and the parts that I use the rain barrel. It's like
There's so much stuff in the
Yes.
tap water.
well, they put it in there to kill germs, right? It's meant to kill life.
And then in the winter they put
Right,
other
so it
things
kills
in.
what you spray it on too. It's basically
Yeah.
low. It's like low bleach is what
Yeah,
it is, right?
it
Low
smells
density
like
bleach.
bleach.
It smells like bleach. It's like pool water, basically, right?
exactly. Yeah.
And yet the rain is. I mean, rain's got impurities in it too, and there's impurities from the roof, I guess. But it's so much less than what you're getting from the tap, I think. And my plants love it. That's all I know is the plants that use the rain barrel. They love it.
And more importantly, not more importantly, but the soil microbes, like all the life in the soil, that's especially what you want to keep alive because you need those microbes to help the plants take up nutrients. And so, people that are really, really particular about the roses, they'll only water with rainwater. People that are really going for
And
the
what's
quality.
good to put in the soil for the roses?
Compost.
I thought you were going to say blood because
Okay, and
we used
blood
to,
meal.
They used to allow people to take their blood home. Our roses.
What?
I'm sorry. It's
Wait,
a
where did
tangent.
What
how
blood?
can they take their blood home? Like,
My father had
where did the blood come from?
disorder where he had to give blood every month.
Okay.
He produced excess iron, so they would let
Never
him
heard of it.
take his blood home, and we would put him on the roses, and it's the most beautiful. These roses
for
are
God.
still.
Wow.
I mean, he's passed away 20-something years ago, and the roses still look fantastic. And I swear, I think it's because
That's
the
so
blood.
goth and like that's so like Anne Rice like New Orleans like
Oh, I
pouring
wish
blood
we
on
were-
the
no,
roses.
it was
Blood
just-
and Roses. It sounds like a great like album
Yeah.
name or whatever. Yeah, like that's so eerie and creepy.
And we didn't even have a green thumb. I mean, it wasn't like my mom was some master gardener. But
so you
anyway,
do
I'm
this out in
sorry
front of
about that.
neighbors, like neighbors are
No,
watching you. You
perfect.
come
Yeah,
out,
you
you're
just-
pouring a bunch of plasma all over the like.
All right, let's warn everybody: don't go out and bleed all over
Yes.
your roses right now.
We're not promoting that. We are not.
But what you can do is buy blood meal and
Okay.
put down bone meal too. So that's a byproduct of the agricultural industry or the
Didn't know it.
livestock industry.
And that
so
works
you
great
can,
for
yeah,
roses?
because it
So
and
are
most
there
plants.
any local, I mean, is that something that we could get locally?
You know what you can get locally is a crawfish meal,
Ooh.
which works really well like a fish emulsion. Very cool stuff. That's made locally.
Do you guys sell that as well?
We can get it.
Get
we
it and
use
work
it
with it,
as
okay.
a part on as one of our fertilizers on our for our maintenance crew.
Did
we
you
don't
used to use coffee grounds too?
Oh, and you can buy coffee grounds by the truckload. And we actually have our own eco-urban. We have a black and a gold mix of soil, of composted soil. The black mix has coffee grounds mixed in with really high quality topsoil, so it's already amended.
I just asked the coffee
Fabulous.
shops if they have any extra. The people that pick theirs up often are tardy, and so they'll have a big buildup. So one time, Cafe Luna gave me 50 pounds of coffee grounds, and then I realized, like, how am I going to carry these home to put in my compost box? So I got great exercise that day. It was only like 4 blocks, but it was like unbelievable carrying a big sack.
You
of
do have a
coffee grounds.
compost box.
Yeah, I do
that's
have a
also
compost
box,
a
yeah.
good thing too, and it helps the environment also. You know, it's not only good for your plants, and it keeps more things out of the garbage,
Right.
and the garbage heaps. It lowers the amount. Again, 8 million gallons of compost we could keep
right.
out of the compost heap.
And it's
Y'all do that at
raising
your
our
restaurants?
taxes. It's
used to.
the municipality has
Do it
to
at home.
maintain the dumps, and then there's the big issue of what you do with it, and then stuff that's there is getting contaminated by stuff there, and it's ruining the whole, in the dump. And it's like to be able to make your own stuff and cut back on your garbage production to me
Yeah.
is
And it's
great.
not that hard, right?
it's easy.
Very easy. Oh, it's so easy. I like to say it's the easiest way to save the world. Then my business partner Travis says, "Don't make promises like that." But I think it is.
Well, to me, one of the problems is like the soil here is full of lead, right? Because you got all these old houses that got sanded at some point. You got
And-
lead everywhere.
Y'all have a
oyster
suggestion
shells.
for that, right?
Yeah.
Don't you have suggestions for lead in your soil plants?
Okay, yes, there's some that can be planted. We don't really deal much with lead remediation, but you can do sunflowers, and a lot of
people always say
brownfields
sunflowers.
remediation has been done with tubers or like potatoes, using a lot of potato type.
But you don't eat
crops.
that crop.
No, you don't.
You don't eat the crop
No.
that's coming out because it's full of lead, but
Yeah.
it's sucking lead out of the soil.
But it helps clean the soil.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I plant like 12 different things in my little teeny tiny yard, my 30 by 30 backyard, right? I have like all these different things, but I'm afraid to put them in the ground because of the lead. So what I do is I put them all in raised things that I use, that I fill with my compost, or I buy some clean soil. I hope it's clean soil, and I put it in there, and stuff that doesn't have the chemical fertilizer, And I'm just, but I'm scared to death to put anything in the ground. The only thing I have in the ground that I use is a lemon tree, and they claim the lead doesn't get into the fruit in a lemon tree. Do you think that's true, or is somebody lying to me
That's
about
my
that?
understanding about it, because the lead molecules are too large to pass through the embryonic membrane,
Okay.
or like the membrane between the tree and the fruit.
We've got science
So
lesson.
I don't know about other contaminants that lead. We're good.
So will y'all will build raised
Oh.
boxes and
Yes, we will. We will build raised planters, and we actually have some really cool prefab ones that are waist high for people that don't want to bend over while they garden. Some of those nice guys.
Right. Wow, we're starting to run out of time, believe it or not,
Oh,
Margo,
no,
already. We got about
no,
10 minutes
no.
left, so I want to find out more about where Demetria's from and what's your background. Did you grow up on a farm? What got you inspired by this?
Well, let's see. Okay, I was born in New Orleans, but I
All
wasn't
right.
raised here. I left when I was 3, because my mother is a fluvial sedimentologist.
What is that?
It means that she studies rivers and did her dissertation on levee washout. So she said, we're not raising.
Oh, no, she knew too much, huh?
So anyway, but my
She knows
whole
sausage
life,
is made, yeah.
I wanted to come back here because we always had Mardi Gras beads on Christmas trees, and I'd go to preschool. I would rubber band doubloons to my feet.
So where'd you grow up?
In Virginia.
In Virginia, okay.
Mostly in Virginia.
You'd
It
rubber
didn't
band
work there. It was
doubloons to
always
your
weird.
feet.
You're the weird kid.
Well, because I know, but it seemed perfectly normal to do. It's just, and so I feel like, how you see little kids and they dance here. They're like, they're so little and they dance. And I feel like that was always me. People are like, what are you doing at prom or something? Like,
you're
You're supposed
really
to dance at a
dancing?
dance?
so I really wanted to come back here. So Tulane was my my way to get back here. And then I just always was interested in the environment and finding a way to create change, not just study problems, but as a science major, I was just like always learning about problems. So I was like, no, we have to create solutions. None of this theorizing and
That's
lamenting.
a great attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great attitude. Let's
exciting.
just do it. Anybody can stand around and complain. It's like after the storm, the city was overtaxed with a lot of things, right? And the neutral ground in my neighborhood, and I'm sure in a lot of neighborhoods, was not being attended to. And you could sit around and just complain about it all the time. The city's not mowing the neutral ground.
Right.
I bought a lawnmower and just mowed the neutral ground, for 2 blocks that it runs by my house. And it's just like, anybody can complain about it.
Well,
Go ahead and make a change.
That's like city
inspiring.
park.
It's really inspiring when people go out and do something. And I mean, when I met you, y'all were kind of new. I mean, fresh business, and it was really, you had an energy that I know nothing about gardening, but I really wanted to do something different, and y'all were really inspiring. It's wonderful, and I think too, like y'all said, it can cross over. I mean, even though there are natural connections between your businesses, you took the time to support her and create and collaborate and try other things, and I think that's what's this city really brings out in people. And
somebody took the time and did it with me.
Yeah.
Pass it along, right? Each one helped one, right?
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
do we have to do the book of questions? Can we get it in there, or do you have a few more questions?
let's do the book of questions. Come on, let's break it up. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna make y'all uncomfortable now, just in the
Okay.
last
This
couple
is
minutes.
Demetria, this was written before you were born, I think, and it sounds like it. Some of these questions are all about Reagan and perms and all kinds of 1980s things. So they still give perms? I guess they do, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
think
All right.
Permaculture.
Permaculture.
There you go.
That's the only perm.
Nobody
she
was
knows
doing
about.
farm to table in this book. Was
No, that was not.
no
you
one.
handle
There
it.
were no
Can to table.
eco-urbans. Yeah.
All right, Eman.
Nobody had a
what
compost
is,
box
Eman, what is
in the
your
city.
favorite number?
Between
6.
1 and 217.
6.
All right.
All right.
I like the curves on the 6. That's my favorite.
It's cool.
Oh boy. You discover your wonderful 1-year-old child is, because of a mix-up at the hospital, not yours.
Oh wow.
Would you want to exchange the child to correct the mistake?
How long after the mistake do I
1
discover?
year. 1
A
year.
year.
Oh, after a year. That's a crazy theoretical question there. No. Yes. How's that for an answer? I could give you a 14-year-old. If we discover a mix-up, that makes it easier.
Are you
But
dealing with a
1-year-old,
teenager?
I got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. So.
Wow.
Oh.
But they are actually great. I'm just kidding. It was just a joke.
Are they
fabulous.
working? Do they
Do they work
do
in the
summer
kitchen?
jobs?
I think I cured them of that early. I brought them in the kitchen when they were
Scrubbing
like
pans.
8 and had them wrapping fish. And it's not just you're working at home, you have 2 fish fillets, 3 fish fillets. You're working in the kitchen, you have 40, 50, and just wrapping it. I'm like, I'm so tired of wrapping fish, please let me stop. All right. Stay in school. There you go. Do well.
All right, Demetria, we have to do it to you.
Okay.
What is your favorite number?
17.
17. I'm going to let Ray ask this one.
All right. I can read it without my glasses. All right. Would you be willing to become extremely ugly physically if it meant you would live for 1,000 years at any physical age you chose? So you could be a really ugly 20-year-old for 1,000 years.
I feel like maturing in age, knowing there's a finite destination, is helpful to understand humanity. So I feel like I would be missing out on sharing an experience with all my colleagues.
You
and
got
then
this book at home.
have it. I do.
Practice this.
That sounds like Miss America.
No.
I didn't have a hard question.
answer. I don't.
Wow.
She deserves praise
If
for
there
that.
if there ever eco-urban pageants, you could win the
coming
question.
Up. It's called the Water Challenge.
The Water Challenge.
Come support.
If they ask you this question in the Water Challenge in that 7 minutes, you got it.
Can we come support? Is there any?
It is open to the public. Yes. I
And
have
it's
to
at
look up
the Idea
dates.
Village, like on, was that 600 block of magazine?
It's actually going to be somewhere else that I just forgot where.
Well,
but
we
wherever
could put up when we'd like to have y'all put tell us your web information.
Yeah,
and
we can
stuff,
post all
and
that
we
on our
can,
website.
please.
And
Yeah. And so
maybe
it'll be
we
a
could
part
have
of
a link to that as well.
Perfect. And it's part of New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, and there's a whole day of water sustainability forums and things, and then I think the pitch itself is just open to everybody, but anybody can register for this different parts of New Orleans Entrepreneur Week and learning more about the Dutch dialogues and all these things that we sort of glazed over. Very exciting.
Very exciting. Okay, when is that? Entrepreneurial Week?
Oh, boy. I'm just doing one day at a time. I think it's around March 24th. I am sorry. I should know.
We'll
but
put up a link.
Great.
So tell us Eco-Urban's website and how people can reach y'all and get more information.
Our new website, which is very exciting that we just released that, is www.ecourban, which is ECOURB as in boy, AN, LLC.com. And we have this cool little get a quote form now, so you can click different things. I'm interested in a deck, patio, hardscape, all kinds of different things. And we will get that information. And
Man, that's great to have all that with one click. Everybody
so
likes
great.
that. You really do. If your website is easy to use, if all the information's right there and it's easy to use, people are going to hang around, and they're going to. It's so important now to have such a one-stop shopping website. It's great.
Is that how Dante's is? And
We're
Noodle
like
and
6
Pie?
or 7 stops. We still can.
Do you have
and
one site you
salt
share for the
hams.
two restaurants?
No, we
or-
have 2 separate ones.
Okay, and what are the addresses for those?
Dante'sKitchen.com and Noodle and the word and pie.
So what happens if somebody just does Dante's instead of Dante's Kitchen? They end up about like the Inferno or something? Like what
It's
happens?
generally the Inferno, or there's a rock band from Iceland, or a punk band from Iceland.
Hard to
called
mix those
Dante's
up.
Kitchen.
Yeah. Those probably, yeah. Okay.
Will you tell us the hours of each restaurant and locations, please?
Oh, right. Dante's Kitchen is at 736 Dante Street in New Orleans, way uptown. And we are open for dinner only Wednesday through Mondays, because that means we're closed Tuesday. 6 to 10, and then brunch on the weekends. And then Noodle and Pie is open every night of the week. That is at 741 State Street, which is 1 block from here where we're
State
recording
Magazine.
right now.
Yep.
On the corner of State Magazine.
one of my favorite restaurants.
And
Yes.
thank you very much. And it's open every night from 5:30 till 9:30 or something like that when people stop. So it's
All right.
Great.
I just want to say, I always think, I explain Noodle and Pie as, like, it's this crazy concept where they have East meets West, because it's the noodle and the pie, because they're not disparate. They're intentional. They're, it's like a yin-yang. That's how I explain it.
Oh.
comfort food for everybody.
They don't
Yeah,
have
there you
pies in the East?
No, they don't have apple pie. They have persimmon pie.
Okay. And you don't make persimmon pies?
No, we stay away from that. We don't want to mix everything up. It'll be a big jumble.
All right.
Well, thank y'all so much. Y'all, unfortunately, the fake stars are starting to fade. The sun is coming up in this.
I was
Fake
looking
sun.
at that. That is really cool. See, I went up there on the balcony and I was, wow, look at
The
that.
magic of LED. A little bit of black felt.
LED stars are it's like a Elvis paint, felt Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Elvis. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So that means our time is up, but we really appreciate y'all coming and joining us tonight on Midnight Menu +1. We know your time is really valuable, and we appreciate
I had
it.
a ton of fun.
I did
All right.
too.
Thank y'all so much.
Well, our special guests tonight have been Eman Loubier and his +1, Demetria Christo of Eco-Urban. You can find out more about Eman's restaurants, Dante's Kitchen and Noodle and Pie at our website, and also about Demetria's Eco-Urban. We can follow closely the competition that's upcoming as well. You can find all that at itsneworleans.com. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Grant Morris, and Chris Keogh is our technical director. And this fabulous audio quality that you hear is by PreSonus Audio Electronics. Makes all kinds of wonderful things. Visit presonus.com for more information. You can get in touch with us here at Midnight Menu Plus One by going to our website, itsneworleans.com, and from there you can follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, sign up for our mailing list, get all kinds of swag. And while you're at itsneworleans.com, you can listen to other episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One and our other shows, Happy Hour, Mindset, True to the Game, Vietnola, Out to Lunch, and others. And if you listen to the show on iTunes, please rate us and review us. It helps other people to find us. Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Till we meet here again, I am Ray Kanata.
And I'm Margo Moss. Thanks.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potty mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii, U.S. only.